Welcome to day 5, folks. Yesterday I just completed my tournament and it was not a great tournament. So today we are going to try and fix those problems. I'm going to start with the warm-up. My warm-up has always been puzzle streaks. I'm in puzzle streak number 18. This appears to be a discovered check theme. So the truth is that I can give him a discovered check, but I don't know how to finish off the game. Is there a way we can finish this game? Let's take a minute. It's a discovered check. Let's say I move it here. The king comes here, but I don't have a mate. Knight comes here. King can come here. Knight check comes here. King comes here. This is a mate. Okay. I think that's a fair enough idea here. It's the same idea, but I had to figure out where exactly to sit. Great. Now let's see what to do in this position. We have opponent threatening quite a nasty kind of a situation. Okay, this is a pretty simple one. The rook comes in here and delivers the mate. So I start off with sacrificing the queen, getting the rook in, and okay, that does not matter. We simply finish off this game. It's a pretty straightforward theme. Now let's look at what's happening here. Is there any major threats from the opponent? There is no mate in 1, mate in 2 situation. Option 1 is queen here. The knight cannot capture because of a pin, and there's a simple mate. Okay, great. So it's a wonderful simple theme. Going forward, let's see what's happening here. The opponent is given a check. I can simply block this. Is there a problem? Is there a mating sequence? There's no further continuation and I can mate him here. But then he would defend. So simple as that. The rook comes here. A rook comes here to defend. Then I give him this check and it's a mate. I don't see an easy way. Okay, queen comes back. But queen, I get the queen, so I'm not so worried, because otherwise it's a... Is there any continuation here which delivers the mate? The queen is stuck. So how do we get the queen out of this rut? I have an option of pawn push. I have an option of queen coming back here, but does not really help my situation. Why don't I just move the king away and the queen simply comes out in a simple way? I'm not sure what's the absolute right way to play this. No. The pawn push was the right move. Why not the king move? What was the problem with the king move? Oh no, I just realized the pawn is queening. It's too slow. Pawn comes. I am not sure it was that bad. Okay, so I get into a passive position here. So that's the reason why computer suggests this one. But why not this? How does this help? Why can't now? I cannot push. I can take this. Push now. I can take. Sorry. I can take this, allowing me to reflect. It's a fairly complex puzzle. It wasn't that easy as I thought it would be. Okay, we've done 3 minutes of this. We're going to do another 5 to 10 minutes of this puzzle streak, a brand new, fresh puzzle streak to start off. Okay, now how do we go about doing this? It's a free rook to start off with. Free rook, and then yeah, the knight gives you a check, and then we just win this mate, back rank mate. Let's see what's happening here. Here we have a simple check and we get the bishop. I think it's like removing the defender kind of a puzzle, extremely simple. Here we have removing the defender again. The rook delivers the check, removing the defender, and we win the queen. Here again we have a simple back rank checkmate theme, single move mates. As you know, we're just getting warmed up. It's a fairly easy set of puzzles. Again, a simple fork, win the rook kind of a puzzle. As I said, it's the first 10 of them would fairly be extremely easy. Is this the extremely easy one? Let's see. Bishop takes, I lose the rook. But I have this check and I think there's a mating sequence. But what if he takes this? Do we have something better? Something on this king side? Okay, I don't see anything really great happening. I take this, rook takes, and I have this check here. I am not very sure. I thought it was easy. We're actually in the easy territory. Let's try this again. Bishop takes, rook takes, sorry, knight takes, rook takes, knight takes, rook, knight takes d1, rook takes b8, queen check, king comes here or here or not there. Oh, okay, if the king goes there, we still have a mate, so the only option the king has is to come here. And then I have this check, the king has to come here, and this is a mate. Okay, we do have a mating sequence, so let's go for it. Alright folks, so let's see what's happening here. We have 3 defenders and 3 attackers for this pawn here. Okay, I think it's straightforward. Rook takes, and then they have this check here, and then I have there's no good defense post that. I'm still gonna take this. It's pretty straightforward, and I have this check, and I win back this rook, so not an issue. Alright folks, so we have okay, this is a simple folk puzzle, and I think I don't see anything complex about this. Let's move on. Alright, this is a simple mate in 2 puzzle. It's 1 check and 2nd check, so I'm going to just move on to puzzle number 10. I think this is an intermediate move puzzle. First we give them a check before capturing the queen, so it's a pretty straightforward one again. And that's where I missed. Actually that was the move that I missed as we saw in the earlier match. And this is not, it's a mate in 2 puzzle. The rook stops the king there. So it's a straightforward one. How do we go about doing this one? This one seems to be a bit tricky. This is discovered attack winning the queen. Sounds easy peasy lemon squeezy. What about this one? Wow, it's a back rank mate with the pawn. This one's a pawn wedge, helping me to deliver the mate with the rook, sacrificing the queen. And here we have, okay, I have the intermezzo move. First you capture the bishop and then you capture the queen. Seems straightforward. Is there anything more to it? I don't think so. And we are completely winning. So again, the intermezzo move, which I'm going to practice a few more puzzles after this in the puzzle theme, on the intermezzo theme, because I have been struggling on that theme in the tournament this time. This tournament we had a revelation about my mistakes and blunders around this. Now white to play and win. Actually it's a mate in 1, right? I mean I can simply put this here, it's a mate. There is what's stopping me. Okay, this was not a great puzzle to start with. Here we have queen check, queen rook, the king comes here. This is a mate. Okay, it's okay. No. Is it? Yeah, it is a mate. Either which ways, it was a mate. Okay, we are. We'll probably reach 20 and we're going to take a break because I want to do some intermezzo puzzles. I've been struggling on that theme of late. So this seems to be a simple fork puzzle. So the fork happens here. We need to just set it up, and we win. We win the knight. We win the knight. So let's continue here. We have this fork, but it's not helping. Rook takes. Okay, it's a free bishop puzzle. Is it? I simply take the bishop and I can move on in life as if nothing happened. Okay, now what? That's a fair question because now, oh, it doesn't change anything, does it? It really didn't change anything. Okay, so now what do we do? What's the way to go? I take this, I lose this. But if I take this, I save this. Seems straightforward. puzzle. And puzzle 20. It's the last one for the day, folks. After that, I'm going to do the intermezzo puzzles. Here, opponent is threatening mate in 1. Not really a mate, I can defend it. But my guess is he himself has got his king in trouble. A check here, pushes in here. Okay, this check, is it a mate? Not really. Comes here and that's a mate. Okay, great. So rook here, check, and this one's a mate. Beautiful. So we are now going to get into puzzle themes, folks. As we know, the last tournament I played, I had missed a simple intermezzo. So I'm going to go and find the theme. So I'm going to go to leeches, find the theme, and I'm going to search for an intermezzo. And I'm going to do, yeah, here's the intermezzo or zwischenstück. Okay, folks, let's try and see. We know the theme here. The theme is intermezzo. So the intermezzo here is, if I take this, he has an opportunity to stop this queening. So we first queen the intermezzo and then take the rook. So that was the theme here, the intermezzo. Here I need to take this. See, if I can take this, rook takes, but then what do I do? So I have multiple choices here. So I can take queen takes, rook takes, bishop takes, this takes, but then he's completely winning. I don't seem to be having anything concrete going on. Knight takes is a fork. I understood the theme here. The theme is pretty straightforward. It's an intermezzo. The intermezzo is that I take this, and then I give him this because he cannot take this because of the pin to the king, and then the rook captures the rook intermezzo, and then I will win back the queen. So it's a fairly good puzzle in intermezzo. As you can see, I have this intermezzo move helping me to win the match. Beautiful intermezzo puzzle. I liked it. This is what I have been missing pretty badly. Now here, what can be the intermezzo? So I need to capture the rook. My bishop's hanging. I simply take the bishop, queen takes, and then I take the rook. Is it that simple? It seems to be that simple. Oh, what about this, folks? I just completely missed. Oh, I can simply take it. How does that make sense? Because of this bishop hanging. Okay, great. I was a little concerned after the puzzle gotten over. So of course the first move that we have is this intermezzo here. I can just, direct move is just taking this. But he's suggesting an intermediate move. This is the intermediate move because if the king moves away, I simply win this rook. And the check, if he comes here, I actually take the pawn, give the check, and then win this rook here. So that is the intermediate move, the knight there, and this captures, and then I go back and capture this rook and we win peace. And of course go ahead and win the match. Now here we have a specific theme of we typically use this theme for the smothered mate, but here we don't have a smothered mate. We have the knight here, rook takes, and then queen takes. That would be the normal theme of the puzzle. This is the move that we are looking at, because once the pawn takes, I have this check, and I think we are winning this match. So the bishop, let's calculate this once. Knight takes, pawn takes, check, bishop takes, the rook here, king comes here. It's not a mate, but do we have a better move here? So my calculation goes, and we're thinking about intermezzo moves for this. Is there an intermediate move which will totally kill it for us? Knight takes, pawn takes, check. The bishop here, rook takes, the pawn's protecting, and we have also a king check in the middle. So we'll have to calculate. So let's look at it. I think the first move is right. According to me, second move is also right. That's the case. Then this comes here, this comes here. There's no mate here. That's the main thing I was worried about, but that's okay. That's okay, folks. Let's continue training on our intermezzo moves. So the obvious move here Alright folks, so let's understand this position and what's the problem that we have. Queen takes, rook takes, he wins back the bishop. But the beauty of the position is I do have an intermediate move of the bishop check. So we take this, and before we capture the queen, we do an intermezzo, and then we capture the queen. He does have this rook takes pawn, but that's where it stops. Alright folks, we've done 6 puzzles, 4 more puzzles before we get into game for the day. Alright folks, it's a pretty straightforward one if I'm not wrong. It's like your, what we call this as the Greek gift. So we have the bishop takes pawn, the king takes pawn, and then we have this move here giving an intermediate check. The king goes back and then the queen comes in, and I think there is a mating sequence over there. That's what it is. So I need to check this. This check is extremely critical, and then okay, now I think we need to be very accurate here. We can't mess this up. Should we start with this check? I don't say that's essential, because even if I do this, there is no way to stop the mate. So how do we stop this mate? If he plays this is a mate. If he plays this, it just doesn't matter because this knight is controlling all the squares. So I think it's a pretty straightforward mating sequence which is there here. Bishop in the middle, rook takes, and completely winning. 3 more puzzles folks, and we're calling it a day. We know it's an intermezzo theme. What's the problem in the position? The problem in the position is this pawn's hanging. This pawn is hanging, so we take this pawn directly. He takes, he cannot take, he will take the queen. And rook takes pawn is the first move. Queen takes queen, intermezzo check, and we just win back the queen anyway. Right, there is no issues. So the idea is that we need to put the intermezzo check before we take the queen out. So we are just 2 puzzles away before calling it a day on the puzzles part of our day. Now let's see what's happening here. What is the problem? The problem currently is this: my queen's hanging. That's the problem. We just give an intermediate check and then we simply take the bishop. That's also a possibility. Let's look at this. Should I give this check here? What would that result in? It results in me having a tempo at the end of it. Do we need that tempo? Why not? Right? There's nothing wrong in having an additional tempo. Is there any trouble that I have? I don't think there's too many troubles. So I'm worried about any troubles, any activity on his side. If I capture this, does he have anything where I need to come back? I'm not super sure, super clear, but let's take a second here, folks. Let's take a second here. So should we start with this? This is a pawn which create mating threat. If I take this right away, this is a mating threat. He has to capture it. I take it. But then there's nothing much there. So I'm a little confused here, folks. Between the 2 moves, I need to be very accurate here in the calculation. So the queen check first, and then the king comes here, this check, and then the king takes, no, pawn takes. Why can't he just simply do pawn takes, and then we lose this pawn, this takes, the queen comes back. I think there is more to this than what I am evaluating. I think I'm not so sure. Should I or should I not? Should I simply take this pawn here? Pawn takes, check. The king comes here. Okay, great. See, I think the idea is very simple. He has to take this, otherwise there's a mate, and then I get this knight here. The whole sequence runs around. The sequence runs like this: pawn takes, check, and I win the knight sitting here. So let's look at this, and a beautiful knight capture to finish off the round. Last puzzle of the day, folks. I think because I think we're getting comfortable with this intermezzo theme, we should be very careful. It's a beautiful theme which we did really badly in this previous tournament. Now, what's the problem in the position? Do we have something that's interesting? I'm not able to find anything that's really interesting in this position. Yes, it's simple. You do the intermezzo, you get the rook, and you will get this back. So it's an exchange up position. So I think this is what I first give him a check, and then I have to Alright folks, this comes to the end of the puzzles part of the section. We spent around 20 minutes here. We're going to play a game for the name. I'm going to create a simple game, and our objective for this game, let us define the objective before we start the game. The first 5 to 10 moves we do a little faster, because that's where I think we struggled in the recent rapid tournament. I'm going to play the 10 plus 5 rapid today, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to play my opening a bit faster. Since we know, yes, it's my turn. I'm playing 1749, Mushir 917, and I'm going to start off with my Queen's Gambit declined. Takes, yes, for this I generally open this knight in, then put this knight in, put the bishop out. Let's see. Okay, I just put the bishop out. It's perfectly fine. Okay, I'm going to just open this up. So I think we are good to go here. I think we are pretty solid in the opening, and I generally exchange off and use this tempo against the queen. Open the bishop here and I simply castle. So typically that's the structure I typically work with, and I'm going to work with this. So as I said, I want to play the first 10 moves pretty aggressively in this opening. Okay, do we have an intermezzo move, anything here? I'm going to simply castle, folks. As I said, first 10 moves I've played it out, blitzed them out, and I'm going to use this tempo, and I'm going to play on for this position. And I think we are now fine. Let us now we are in the middle game. Let's give it some thought. Where would I want my pieces? I would want my queen here and bishop here, threatening this mate, possible. Typical idea for the opponent is trying to push these pawns front, and queen here attacking this is a theme. And I don't have should I do a central break? I'm going to play rook e8, rook e1 to start off with. So the thing is, yeah, that also makes sense. That makes sense. So let's see. I'm going to play rook e1 to start off with, and then where would I want my knight? I think my knight is misplaced. I would have liked my bishop here, and the knight. I would like my bishop to be sitting on d3, and the knight to be sitting on f3. That's my ideal setup. I'm going to spend a little bit of more time here to really get handle of the situation. Okay. Alright folks, so what I'm going to do is okay, let me put my let's think about it. The queen sitting here is an ideal diagonal, trying to get into this particular area. So let me just put the queen here, and now let's continue to think carefully, folks. Where would we want our pieces? So this is what I had already anticipated that would happen. I'm going to put the rook here, bishop here. A pawn is going to get pushed. I would. Okay, that's fine. I think. Let me put the other rook here, with the idea that I'm going to do this pawn push sooner rather than later. And if it takes, I'm going to take it back. And this is what I had anticipated. I'm going to push this pawn and take this up right here. So that's my plan. It's a pretty straightforward plan. Nothing tricky about it. I would want to open up the position and put my bishop back to its initial square. A little bit of capture here there is not an issue for me. I don't see any big threats in this position at this point of time. So I'm trying to open up the position. The pawn's too much farther ahead, getting my rook into the action. And yes, this pawn's pretty much protected by the rook, and there's nothing much to worry about. Typically, I just close the entire section down. A4, A5, I play A3, exchange, and this is the structure that I work with. He has a weak pawn to work with, and I need to put my knight in a better square. As simple as that. That's going to be my key priority here. How to put my knight onto the right set of squares. So he's going to try and play this move here. I'm not sure that's the best way to go forward. Why don't I put my bishop here along this diagonal? It's a possible idea. Queen here is a fork. Am I winning anything? Not really. He has a defensive idea here. No, doesn't look great. should I? Okay, folks. Queen here, and then pushing the pawn push, trying to put some pressure on this pawn. I'm not very sure about that idea either. I'm moving away from my. Okay, folks. What I'm going to do is I want to put my queen here and bishop here and try to put pressure along this diagonal. For which I'm going to start off with bishop here, not allowing a direct f5 move. What if he plays this pawn push here? Let's think about it, folks. This is a problem. This is such a big deal. Not super sure. Alright, folks. So as I said, now I've started to think. I'm deep in the middle game, and I'm thinking quite a bit. Okay, so directly he moved the rook there. Interesting, folks. Interesting. Now let's reroute our knight. So one thing I really wanted to do is reroute the knight. The problem is this is hanging. So let me double up my rooks. What are my issues at this point of time? I see. My idea was to do this here and then get the knight into the game. I badly want to move the knight, get the knight into the game. Now the reality is that I can do this with the idea of this being under threat. But what would happen is that he would come here, knight comes there, so he has sufficient play, folks. What if I bet my bishop here, provoking this move, and then come and sit back here? Yes, I think I prefer this sequence. I want to sit here. Either I provoke this or I provoke this, and then I come and sit here along this diagonal. And then I would want my queen to sit here. I think, okay, great. So this is exactly what I was trying to achieve. Provoking a weakness along the king side. Just not so ideally placed pieces. And what I'm going to do is going to put the queen here and put the knight here and then try to play the game. He closes the position. Perfectly alright. I perfectly understand. And I would want to put my knight here, queen here, and then play the game. As simple as that. And that is what I'm going to start working towards. Now the problem he has is that this is a weakness. He has to worry about it. This is currently unprotected pawn, or lower than required protected pawn. It has one defender. This is no more a defender, and I have two attackers. And I would want to put my knight here as a situation. I would really want to do that. But let's see, folks, whether it would still work. So now I have first of all threatened this as well as this. So this is a fork that have double attack, or fork, whatever we call it as. There are two things that are under attack. Now the question is, how do you defend both? So let's see. Is there a defense? I don't think so. I'm winning this pawn for sure. Looks like, and probably this as well. And I'm going to just decimate the position. Queen check. Now, since I'm up material, I'm going to continue to capture a little more material. No issues at all. So I'm going to simply capture material. I'm 2 pawns up, and the king is not looking great for the opponent. And I have this open file and all of that. Does he have? No, I don't see any intermezzo moves. Do I want to exchange this bishop to this knight? Not really. I believe that this bishop is fairly powerful and it's along the right square. The only problem for me is my knight, which needs to be developed. I'm going to continue with my idea. My idea is to double up here. Now, of course, if he allows me this exchange, do I take it? No, I do not want it to take it. I do not want to take it. But this is not a... Alright folks, let's take a minute here. The reality is this knight is stronger. I have this. I have an intermediate move. Rook takes. Before I capture this. And if he captures it, I'm just going to come right back. So he has to capture it. And then I don't want to give up my bishop. My bishop is going to sit along this diagonal. So in fact, I think this is pretty good news for us. He has 3 pawn islands as opposed to our 2 pawn islands, and I think we are good. And I would want to... what is the scope of this knight? It's not adding anything at this point in time. The king has to come and sit here, and then the rook has to sit there. Okay, sounds good folks, sounds good. That's the approach we're going to be taking. Now the reality is this is my weakness and I need my king to sit here. That's clearly the position where I would want my king to be sitting. And how would I start moving my rook? How do I get my rook into the game? So what I would do is I would put pressure here and then get the king into the game. I think makes good sense. He may force the exchange. Yeah, do I really need that exchange? That's the question. Okay, I'll tell you the problem that he has currently. His pawns are stuck on the same color as my bishop, and this is the only weakness currently in my position. Okay, this is also the other weakness, but yes, we have this push here, we have the opening up, all of that. So he has a fair amount of problems. So even if I play this here and he forces me an exchange, I then have this move attacking the space of the pawn, and he has to defend. And he has to defend for a fairly long time, allowing my king to enter and create some troubles for the opposition. Alright folks, so what do we do here? We have some good moves. First of all, I do not like this knight sitting so up front. I would want him to go back. And yes, where does he go? Folks, this is exactly what we have been practicing today, the intermezzo. I do have an intermediate check and I just win this. This is exactly how I lost my match a few days ago. Just yesterday, sorry, I lost the match. So thanks for practicing intermezzo. We were able to apply it in the game right away, winning a knight in the process and hence winning the match. I think this is a fairly important theme which I appear to be missing in the matches. Now there's no easy way for him to protect the match going forward. I'm just simply material up and there's no easy way for him to continue. So in fact, king moves somewhere, I give a check, king takes. I'm going to continue putting pressure on this pawn and this bishop is going to take it. So there's no issues at all, and probably resignation time because the rook comes here and it grabs this pawn as well. Absolutely folks, I think this was a pretty straightforward game. I would of course want to analyze this without engines to start off with. Analyze where we went wrong, what are the mistakes that we did. Let's try to reevaluate, did I do any mistake in the opening. So I think this is a pretty standard setup that I work with. And yeah, I generally capture this, push it, take some space with tempo. I'm not sure it's the right idea. Or in fact, this is not the best idea. The best idea, wow. I keep missing this move. Why is this the best idea? Because of this. Okay, and let's say instead of this, okay, I missed this a couple of times already. So if I play this, and why would he, let's say he just defends this and then I get out of it. How is this? Alright folks, I was trying to understand how is this so much better. than the earlier structure. But yes, the engine always says this is much better. I'm not so sure if it is, but it appears to be so. No issues. I don't think so it's such a bad idea. But yes, I think going forward we need to try to see. Okay, now let's see what happened next. I typically place this bishop e2 move, and b2 d7, castle. It seems all okay. Yeah, actually this I have a there's not like a big advantage. It's a fairly equal position. He played rook a to c8. I generally open this up as a pretty standard move that I play. Even though they're saying, as we said, we were quite stuck in this position and I was thinking a lot. The engine says play b4 and then like create some expansion. I said I would want to first simplify the position that is there here, and I anyways played the b4 move. Here is where I was fairly confused on what needs to be done, and I played bishop g4 trying to do this move. The engine says it's not so bad. The engine is asking me to do this break. Absolutely, because it makes perfect sense. His pieces are very much tied up. They don't have activity, and we need central activity. Wonderful, folks. Clearly a middle game tactic which is missed. I'm missing breaks, right? That's one of the learnings that we're having. And I need to work on what break really works. Not really a good move. Then my idea, this was my idea nonetheless. Just did the bishop here, and he closed this position. And I said, okay, so what? So I thought I'm going to just move this here. So this is the best move. Played f5, and then I said, I think it does make sense for me to create the fork. I did the fork, and I did end up winning the pawn, and it's completely winning at this position at this point of time. And this is a mistake. It's not a mistake. It's an inaccuracy. It's the ideal state. Again, break. I'm missing sufficient amount of breaks. This break why would this break be better? He simply takes, right? So why is that break any better? Why doesn't he take? Let's say he takes, you go further, knight takes, yes, passes, but then my knight is entered in the game, and it's fairly tricky position here, right? So then he did not do that, I played this move, and then opened this up. I wanted to keep my bishop alive along this diagonal, of course. That was my idea. Then I said, okay, this is not accurate. He wants me to sit along this diagonal. Okay, great. So this is important to note, that he wants me to sit along this diagonal and not along this diagonal. Important distinction. Let's take a minute to think, why would this diagonal be better than this diagonal? It provides some threads along the king side. My only possible explanation. Or was it to attack this pawn here? Let me try to go through this whole theme. Knight c7, bishop b3. I was right, it was a diagonal. h5, king h2, knight e8, a4, a6, ax, b5, x, b5, knight a1, h4. And then the rook comes up here and tries to attack this. He defends this way. So that's fine. I think I was not super sure like how it was so much more better. Again, he wants me to work on no, I think this here, yeah, it's okay, it's not that bad. Now this was a blunder, and because of our initial practice we were able to figure out that the intermezzo was the way to go forward. Alright folks, magnificent. I think we did one game today and we did practice some intermezzo puzzles, and we, in fact, fortunately we do have some time, so let's try to do 5 more intermezzo puzzles and call it a day. And I'm pretty tired after the last long tournament that I've had, so I don't want to do too much more. I don't want to work on endgames. Endgames are fairly long, so to speak. Okay, so let's see how this works. We have an intermezzo check, but how does this help us as such? Well, this is not really a good check. Alright, so we do have this. First of all, I'm in check. Rook takes, rook takes, rook check. He has an intermezzo. Wow. Queen takes, rook takes, rook takes. yeah, I was expecting this, and then I'm going to simply take this back. Okay, great. I did 4 more to go, and we're going to call it a day. Let's see what's happening here. What's happening here is we have this check. King comes here. We have this check. Comes here. All right. The simple move here. After this check, the king comes here is to give this check, because then king has to take, and there is no way to stop this mate. Simple and straightforward intermediate check, layering up the back rank. We need to take this, but when do we take this? We have an intermediate check here. We have then a check here. The king can further take this. Okay, alright. It's a fairly complex situation, and I'm quite confident. Everything starts with this. Actually, why don't we start with this? I think it makes a lot more sense. A pawn check, king takes, a rook check, king takes, rook takes. I think I'm missing something here completely. Rook check. I think there's a mating sequence here. I'm quite confident there's a mating sequence here which I'm missing out because of not finding the right move. So we have this check, king takes, we have this check, king takes, we have this bishop takes. Alternatively, I take this, king takes, I have this, king takes, and this is a mate. Okay, yes, it makes perfect sense. We have a mate on the board, as I was guessing, from the kind of king being superly exposed in this position. So we have a simple move, queen takes. It doesn't work, right? Rook takes, again rook takes, queen takes, check. Is that what this is? Does it really give me an advantage? Let's calculate this. Rook takes, check. So basically currently, if I look at the middle balance, the opponent is a complete piece up. Now they will just simply is an exchange up. I think makes sense. Does he have any intermediate moves? Oh my god, I should simply take this. I've blundered a bit, but okay, no issues. We take this first and then take this. Okay. Alright folks, so we got our streak broken. We had a good streak. We got it broken. I'm going to then do 2 more puzzles. Let me count. I need to reach 15. I can check this here. How many puzzles we've done? 14 of them. And I'm going to go to puzzle themes. Maybe 1 more and 15 puzzles. We'll call it a day. I missed the intermezzo there. Okay, let's look at this. This is the last puzzle for the day. We can simply take this. We cannot take this because of this. If you take this, he has this. Alright folks, I understood the problem here. The problem is I take this, he takes this, and it's just simply losing. Now, do we have a good move here? Yeah, we do have a move, but it's not a good move. Now I get the intermediate move is this check here, which allows me to save my bishop. Alright folks, sorry, this is the last puzzle for the day. I had promised, and I'm going to just go figure out what does the progress we've done. We did a decent puzzle streak. We did 15 puzzles on Intermezzo, in which we missed 1 of them, and we have had 1 rapid game, which wasn't against a fairly strong player, we can all conclude. But yeah, I was able to use my Intermezzo theme for the day. Have a great day folks. I think I've done day. I'm using YouTube to be consistent. So this is my day 5 of this whole journey, and I want to continue this for a year and see whether I can actually see considerable progress in my game. Thank you all for listening.